The wedding may be over, but Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift's lives have somehow become even crazier. In just a matter of days, they've been linked to luxury getaways, major career decisions, and plans almost nobody saw coming. Let's get into it. Friday evening, July 3rd, black cars started lining up outside Madison Square Garden. By the time the sun went down, the arena had been transformed from a basketball court into what one attendee called a garden inside the garden. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce were married that night in front of about 1,000 guests, in a ceremony that had been planned under some of the tightest security anyone in New York had ever seen. The scale of it was staggering. The 1,000-person guest list was impressive, expansive, and occasionally befuddling. There was the Hollywood contingent, including Steven Spielberg, Gigi Hadid and Bradley Cooper, Dakota Johnson, Eric Stonestreet and Hugh Grant. Kansas City native and Chiefs fan Jason Sudeikis was also there, as well as self-professed Swiftie Nikki Glazer. Jennifer Lopez, Graham Norton, Jimmy Fallon and Zoe Kravitz were also spotted among the arrivals. Then there was the sports side of the room. Kelce's coach Andy Reid and Chiefs teammates, including running back Kareem Hunt, were among the sports figures in the arena, along with retired NFL superstar Tom Brady, Seattle Seahawks receiver and recent Super Bowl champ Cooper Kupp, New York Giants receiver Juju Smith-Schuster, and ESPN personalities Joe Buck and Stephen A. Smith. Even NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell showed up, alongside pop stars like Gwen Stefani and Fergie. The ceremony itself had a twist nobody saw coming. Neither Swift nor Kelce went with a traditional wedding party. Instead, Swift's younger brother Austin Swift served as her man of honor, with Kelce as big brother and podcast co-host Jason Kelce as his best man. And officiating the whole thing, their friend Adam Sandler, star of The Wedding Singer, standing up in front of the room to marry two of the most famous people alive. The reaction inside the room, according to those who were there, wasn't detached celebrity spectacle. People were genuinely moved. Good Morning America anchor George Stephanopoulos, who attended alongside co-anchors Robin Roberts and Michael Strahan, told ABC News afterward that the ceremony was great, moving, that Sandler was funny and touching, and that the vows had everything you'd hope for: real, vulnerable, serious, and silly, deeply loving. Roberts and Stephanopoulos added a detail that's been repeated everywhere since. The couple wrote their own vows in little books. Tavia Hunt, wife of Chiefs owner Clark Hunt, downplayed the spectacle entirely, telling reporters it really wasn't that different from any wedding you'd attend. Michael Strahan framed it differently. He called it the couple's perfect fairy tale. Outside the building, the city itself seemed to be in on it. Billboards outside Madison Square Garden lit up in purple with the message "Justin T. married," announcing the news to the streets of Midtown Manhattan, while a few blocks over, the Empire State Building lit up in blue in their honor, a nod to the old wedding rhyme. Then a rainstorm began. For the people who'd followed this relationship since it started, that rain felt symbolic. This wasn't just two celebrities getting married. It was the ending of a story that had played out. In football stadiums and music venues for 3 years, Swift and Kelce began dating in the summer of 2023. During the first year of her record-breaking Eras tour, now, 3 years and one engagement later, it was official. But almost immediately, attention shifted away from the ceremony and towards something the tabloids couldn't stop chasing. What happens the morning after, when two of the richest, most photographed people on Earth are suddenly husband and wife? There was a rehearsal dinner the night before, with a guest list of its own. There were leaked photos. There was a scramble over the honeymoon. And there was a very real football season, bearing down on Kelce with barely a week to spare. That's where things get interesting. If the ceremony itself was tightly controlled, the days after were the opposite, an avalanche of leaked details that the couple's famously ironclad non-disclosure agreements couldn't fully contain. It started with the rehearsal dinner. An intimate rehearsal dinner took place on July 2, 2026, with 100 guests at the Infosys Theater, followed by an extravagant wedding ceremony on the arena floor on July 3, attended by about 1,000 friends and colleagues of the couple. Guests at that smaller gathering included Selena Gomez, Jack Antonoff, and Lena Dunham, all photographed in elegant black looks heading into the night before the big one. Then came the invitation leak. Someone close to Kelce's inner circle posted a photo of the actual wedding invitation before quickly deleting it, but not before screenshots spread everywhere. The photo was seemingly shared by Ashish Ferguson, the brother of Kelce's childhood friend and former personal chef, in photos from the July 4 weekend, and while it was later deleted, not before users grabbed a screenshot. The dress itself became its own news cycle. The bride and groom's wedding ceremony looks were created by Christian Dior Haute Couture, designed by Jonathan Anderson, marking the designer's first couture wedding dress for a world-renowned celebrity, with shoes custom-made by Christian Louboutin and Cartier jewelry for the bride. That level of custom couture, from one of fashion's most prestigious houses, was the kind of detail Swift's team usually keeps locked down for months. Instead, it was public within days. Then there was the guest list drama that had nothing to do with fashion. Ryan Seacrest reportedly had an RSVP and then canceled it. Robert Pattinson and Suki Waterhouse were notably absent, which fueled its own round of speculation. Meanwhile, the guests who did show up ran the gamut from Swift's actual family: Taylor's parents Andrea Swift and Scott Swift, Travis's brother Jason Kelce and his wife Kylie Kelce, along with his parents Donna Kelce and Ed Kelce, to a full lineup of A-listers nobody expected to see under one roof. Tom Hanks, Paul McCartney, Jessica Chastain, The Chicks, Carly Kloss, Camila Cabello, Ethan Hawke, and even Prince William's football-loving circle got looped into the story when Kelce's own podcast booked the future king as a guest the same week. Not everyone who showed up got a clean headline out of it. There were reports of a wedding guest getting called out online for a post involving one of Swift's exes and someone else accused of wearing white to draw attention away from the bride. Even among 1,000 of the most disciplined, image-conscious people in the world, somebody couldn't resist stirring up drama. And then there were the party favors. Guests walked away with a keepsake that turned into its own viral moment. Instagram posts from singer-songwriter Maren Morris and Anna Demmer showed what could be a favor from the celebration: a handkerchief embroidered with TNT, the date, and New York City, along with a Swift lyric referencing forever. The financial backdrop to all of this only made the spectacle bigger. Forbes had already estimated the price tag on the whole affair would run into the tens of millions, and reports emerged that ahead of the big day, the couple had quietly donated a combined $26 million to charities working on food insecurity, homelessness, and children's health. Swift and Kelce's version of grounding an over-the-top weekend in something bigger than themselves. But even with all that noise, the biggest question hanging over the wedding wasn't about the guest list or the dress. It was about what came next, because two of the busiest people in the entertainment industry had a football season and a global brand to get back to almost immediately, and their own plans for a honeymoon were suddenly more complicated than anyone expected. Most newlyweds get on a plane the next morning. Swift and Kelce didn't have that luxury, because barely a week after their own wedding, they had another one to attend. According to TMZ, the couple is briefly putting their honeymoon on hold to attend the July 11 wedding of Kelce's former teammate, New York Giants wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster, and his fiancée, Laura Crook. The ceremony is set to take place at the Ritz-Carlton, Laguna Niguel in Orange County, California, with other notable guests, including Kelce's teammate Patrick Mahomes and his wife Brittany, along with several other Chiefs players. It's a strange scheduling problem to have. There's a week between Taylor and Travis's wedding and Juju's, but we're told the couple has no plans for a mini honeymoon. Before they head out to California, TMZ reported, the gap simply wasn't big enough to squeeze in even a short getaway before flying cross-country for a friend's ceremony. That hasn't stopped the honeymoon speculation from spiraling into its own news cycle, with competing reports pulling in different directions. One version, sourced to The Sun, describes a full trip around the world, with the couple going completely off the grid. According to that account, Swift and Kelce have already finalized their honeymoon plans, which reportedly involve a trip around the world and living completely off the grid, having informed friends and family that outside contact will be limited unless there's an emergency, so they can immerse themselves in the experience before Travis returns to the football field. The proposed route reads like a bucket list built for two people who never get to travel without being photographed. Their travel plans reportedly include starting in the Bahamas, described as the couple's favorite spot, before jetting off to Lake Como in Italy, Paris, the French Riviera, Croatia, Greece, Singapore, and Australia. Another outlet's sourcing added Hawaii to the tail end of the itinerary, framing the whole trip as a once-in-a-lifetime experience squeezed in before training camp. Other insiders have pushed back on how locked in any of it really is. Gossip columnist Rob Shooter's sources describe security around the trip as tighter than the wedding itself, quoting an insider who said the honeymoon is locked down tighter than the wedding. Taylor and Travis don't want anyone knowing where they'll be or when, and they've told almost no one. That same reporting floated a 3-week Caribbean to Europe itinerary, with one insider calling it the ultimate bucket list honeymoon. In the meantime, the paparazzi have been doing what they always do, trying to spot the couple anywhere a private jet lands. One eyewitness told a tabloid there was unusual activity at Swift's Rhode Island property the day after the wedding, describing people seen at her house in the late afternoon and during a fireworks display around 9 p.m., with 3 to 4 figures spotted on the roof, though it was hard to tell who it was as they appeared to be watching the display from hiding. Whether that was really the newlyweds or simply hired security running interference for a real getaway elsewhere is still unconfirmed. What's not in dispute is the timeline pressure. Whatever version of the honeymoon actually happens, it has to end before training camp opens. Because Kelce isn't just newly married, he's also gearing up for what could be a pivotal, possibly final, stretch of his football career. And that's where his side of this new chapter gets a lot more complicated than a trip to Lake Como. While the tabloids were tracking honeymoon flights, Kelce had already made one of the biggest decisions of his career, just months before the wedding, and it says a lot about where his priorities actually sit right now. His 2025 season wasn't his best. He finished the 2025 season with 76 receptions for 851 yards and 5 touchdowns, as the Chiefs finished 6-11 and missed the postseason. For a player who'd spent over a decade at the top of his position, a losing season and a missed playoff run would normally be the moment speculation about retirement gets loudest. And it did. But instead of walking away, Kelce doubled down. On March 9, 2026, Kelce agreed to a 1-year contract, worth $12 million with a maximum value of $15 million. Other teams were interested in signing him, but he voiced his preference to return to the Chiefs, citing the team's decision to rehire Eric Bieniemy as offensive coordinator, as well as his own longtime familiarity with the franchise. Then, weeks later, that deal got reworked into something much bigger. The contract was later altered and extended to 3 years, worth $54.7 million. That's not a farewell tour contract. That's a player committing to Kansas City well into his late 30s, and reporters connected it directly to his relationship. ESPN ran a piece specifically framing it as Swift's influence on his decision to stay. And Kelce himself has talked about how much his life outside football has shaped what he wants from the years he has left in it. The football itself hasn't stopped producing headlines either. On October 25, 2025, in a game against the Denver Broncos, Kelce broke the franchise record for total touchdowns with his 84th overall, putting the Chiefs ahead before they lost on a last-second field goal. Records like that cement a legacy even in a rough year. Proof that whatever happens with the win column, Kelce's individual place in Chiefs history isn't going anywhere. But the retirement conversation hasn't disappeared. If anything, the wedding reignited it. Kelce is in the twilight of his playing career, turning 37 in October after already playing 13 NFL seasons. And in each of the past few years, there have been rumblings of a potential retirement that hasn't happened yet. Analysts have started connecting the dots between his personal life and his professional one, with one insider noting, now that Kelce is married, one can't help but wonder if he'll begin to prioritize his relationship more and more, especially as Father Time eventually catches up to the 11-time Pro Bowl tight end. What comes after the cleats come off has already started to take shape. NFL insider Mike Florio has floated a specific landing spot, a broadcast booth. Florio speculates that once Kelce's playing career ends, there could be a TV chair waiting for him at Amazon, noting rumblings about Kelce eyeballing Kirk Herbstreit's Thursday Night Football chair, with Herbstreit under contract only through 2026. Florio has gone even further, suggesting the possibility of Kelce eventually taking a spot on the Fox NFL Sunday desk too, potentially doing both jobs. Amazon first, then adding Fox once a seat opens up. The money on the table for that next chapter dwarfs even his playing salary. If Kelce is offered $40 million in annual salary as a broadcaster, he'll be set for life once he retires from the NFL, especially considering he's made an estimated $111 million across 13 seasons, without the risk of further injury while potentially making more than he's ever made in a single season. So Kelce's next few years look like this: one more contract, one more shot at a ring, and a media career already being built in the background before he's thrown a single more pass-catching route. Meanwhile, on the other side of the marriage, Swift isn't slowing down either, and the gap in what each of them is walking into married life with says a lot about what insane really means for this couple. Here's the number that puts everything else in this story into perspective. By July 2026, as she prepared for her wedding to Kelce, Forbes estimated Swift's net worth had soared past $2.1 billion. Meanwhile, Kelce's estimated $80 million net worth underscores the scale of Swift's financial empire, built around ownership of her music catalog, touring, and media rights. That's not a small gap. That's a couple where one partner is worth roughly 26 times more than the other, which is exactly why Taylor's financial group declined to comment on a possible prenup between the two stars, though experts say it's almost certain that they'll have a prenuptial agreement. What makes Swift's fortune so remarkable isn't just the size of it, it's how she built it. She achieved billionaire status almost entirely through her music. Unlike many celebrities who diversify into fashion or beauty, with her fortune rooted in songwriting, touring, and strategic ownership of her own work, making her not only the richest female musician in history, but the first musician ever to reach billionaire status purely through her art. The single biggest move in that empire building happened just weeks before the wedding. In May 2026, Swift finally acquired the masters and publishing rights to her first 6 albums, giving her complete control over every song, video, and performance she has ever released. A purchase she called "my greatest dream come true." That fight had been going on for years, ever since her first 6 albums were owned by Scooter Braun's company after he acquired Big Machine Records in 2019, becoming one of the most public ownership disputes in music history. Swift's answer at the time was to re-record those albums as Taylor's version. And now, years later, she doesn't even need the re-recordings as leverage anymore. She just owns the originals outright. The Eras Tour is still doing financial work for her years after it wrapped. The tour, which ran through the end of 2024, grossed more than $2 billion in ticket sales and hundreds of millions more in merchandise, while a self-funded concert film earned $260 million at the worldwide box office before she sold streaming rights to Disney Plus for an estimated $75 million, adding a second Disney deal worth even more. Even her newest single, recorded for this summer's Toy Story sequel, became the current #1 song on the music charts, selling 183,000 units in the US and 71,000 in the UK in its first week, both the high marks of 2026. Kelce's financial story, by comparison, is a football player's story. Earned one contract, one endorsement deal, one broadcast opportunity at a time. That's not a knock on him. It's just a completely different model of wealth than the one his new wife has built. And it's part of why so much of the coverage around this marriage keeps circling back to money and power dynamics rather than just romance. And yet, for all the numbers, both of them have kept circling back to something less transactional. Ahead of the wedding, the couple quietly donated a combined amount to charity that dwarfed most people's understanding of generosity, giving to 9 food banks, 3 children's hospitals, and organizations for animal welfare and community support. Part of a donation focused on issues from food and homelessness to children's health and education. It was the kind of move that got a fraction of the coverage the dress or the guest list did, buried under headlines about billionaires and multimillionaires marrying each other. So what does life actually look like for them now? Weeks into being husband and wife, it looks like a honeymoon nobody can quite pin down, sandwiched between a friend's wedding and the start of an NFL season. It looks like Kelce reporting to training camp with a 3-year, $54.7 million commitment on his back, and a broadcast career already being sketched out in industry rumor mills. It looks like Swift, fresh off owning her own masters for the first time in her career, topping the charts again with a song from a kid's movie while carrying a personal fortune most small countries would envy. And it looks like 2 people who met because one of them failed to hand over a friendship bracelet in 2023, now navigating a life where every single thing they do, a vacation, a donation, a Sunday afternoon on a private beach, becomes global news within hours. The wedding was the headline. What's happening in the weeks since is the actual story. 2 massive careers, 2 very different bank accounts, and one marriage now trying to function under more public scrutiny than almost any relationship in modern history. Whatever comes next for Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, it's safe to say the world isn't going to stop watching